All right, it's been a while since I've made a video. I decided to take a little bit of a break from it. I thought it reached a point of diminishing returns, but for anybody concerned whether or not I'm still alive, I still am. So I want to say that. Also, my neighbors on this side aren't home, and I didn't want to break the trend of, always doing the being on theme with the videos here. So I was able to strip down outside without too much of a concern here. So I don't know what day it is here. It's probably been about a month or so since I've done a video, but I ended up stopping before, partially because I felt like I hit a bit of a turn. Not necessarily the end of the midlife crisis by any stretch, really, but it entered a new phase. And a lot of what precipitated this was a specific dream that I had. So I'm going to describe what that dream was, and then kind of what I've drawn from that and the progress I've made since then of trying to figure myself out here. So, the dream. It all starts, it's a little fuzzy where it starts, but it starts with me basically being arrested and thrown in prison. In fact, I don't even remember that much about the arrest part of the dream. So I find myself in prison. And we're talking about like handcuffs, ankle cuffs. And it's kind of prison. It's almost like an open floor plan, outdoors kind of a prison where everyone's locked up, walking kind of in a circle. A little bit thinking, I don't know, I haven't seen the movie in a bit, but like Pleasure Island, donkeys kind of a thing, but humans. And there's a lot of like prison rape going on. It's not a pleasant scene. And the reason why I'm there, I don't remember what the details were, but kind of like in a dream where it's like, the gist of why you're there without being able to say any specifics. But it was something something small I had done. Almost not a misunderstanding. It was something, felt like it was on the order of like, say I forgot to scan a pack of gum at a self-checkout or something, so they throw me in prison. And so I'm not totally innocent, but definitely you would think not deserving of that. So anyway, someone got on the phone with my wife, and I'm pleading with her to send my and her brother-in-law to come talk to the people here to get me out, because somehow I thought, had the key to explain this whole misunderstanding. And my wife, for some reason, is dismissive of this. I'm not sure why, but I can't seem to get through to her how important it is. I'm like, look, the people are getting raped here. This is bad. This is wrong. I need a way out here. Like, yeah, and talk to get our brother-in-law. Like, he has to go straighten this out. And no, not really interested. She's more so thinking like, it can't be that bad. And plus, you are kind of guilty, so I'll see you in a couple days. And I was like, no, that like, they're raping people. There's a Boondocks reference in there. So anyway, I come off the phone, and one thing I should describe about this prison is everybody is walking around. Imagine hobbled over, a little bit like hunchback-like, with black trash bags around their asses, and kind of like a space for a trash bag to fill it up with shit. So it looks almost like deflated, like donkey testicles hanging behind everybody, and it's meant for you to shit in. And some people are walking around with bags full of shit. I would demonstrate it, but I'm naked. So anyway, I somehow get my hanging bag, which I've been outfitted with as well, gets stuck on something and rips. And it becomes clear that I have not shat in the bag. I haven't made myself at home, I guess you could say. And somehow this brings me right to the front of the list of those to get raped, because that would be cleaner if someone who hasn't shat in their bag were to get raped or something. And when I realize this is the case, I decide, it's time. I gotta escape. In dreamlike fashion, I just managed to somehow escape. I don't know how. I just kind of get out. But now the dream transitions into more of it's almost like Inception, because I keep escaping from different levels of entrapment. And it's like an Inception type of thing, where it's like it's radically different scenery each time. The two that stick out the most to me, the first one is I found myself like on a golf course, hiding behind bushes near like a rough. Like, if you can imagine, almost like in the middle of a fairway, a bunch of trees and bushes in the middle, hiding in there. And I remember police officers looking for me, acting as if they didn't see me, but I could tell they did from where I could tell they knew where I was, because they started setting up a perimeter in a way, like roadblocks almost on the golf green. And I remember I had this visceral feeling to myself of, I'm not actually free. They're making me think I'm free so they can trap me again. I nonetheless sniff out that plan and fast forward a little bit to the final scene where I'm running. Imagine a warehouse in like a Mad Max movie. So it's this big warehouse. It's abutted up against a mountain, and the prison is on the bottom floor. And here I actually end up making some friends, and we all are going to escape together. And we start escaping together. Basically, I don't know, we're just going upstairs to escape. Like, it's a dream. It's kind of, who knows how that stuff works. But I'm escaping with everybody. And I thought that they were all just as motivated as I was to escape this prison. And we come to a fork in kind of like the catwalks up at the top of the building. One way is, I think, is clearly the way out. It goes like up onto the roof and then allows you to go out over the nearby mountain. And another path goes into a room which appears empty except for a bunch of, like, it's like gaming or something. It's like some sort of sports gambling kind of game thing. And all of my companions said they didn't want to go that way. And I know better. I'm like, what are you doing? This is just the trap. They're going to get you again. And they still go that way. And that's about when the dream ends. And this was a very vivid dream too. And I have to say, like, I think that kind of goes, a lot of people understand that sometimes dreams can come across as kind of silly, but when you're in them, they can be very intense. Now, this was a dream I had. It was literally the night after I did, I think, my last journal. And I think I had a miniature realization, and this is what partially why I stopped doing the journals, because I realized that things that maybe I had been seeking out were almost like fake escapes in a way. Now, I've always been a sports and games guy. I've never been a fan of using terms like escapism to describe that, like some people will. Like, you know, people talking about, like, you know, refer to sports as, like, you know, watching sports ball and stuff like that. Games even more so. I never liked that because to me it never lined up with how you'd find, there's a really nice breeze. You would find people who were, think about like at an NFL Hall of Fame induction. Guys, men who have dedicated their lives to the sport, now brought to tears with the degree of honor they feel for being inducted to the Hall of Fame. And they're ultimately playing a game. All right, so I never liked calling that escapism because I think there's a certain amount of meaning can be found there. But I think in the context of the dream, it felt like I was never going to look at the idea of getting like work done. You know, I guess if I was younger, the schoolwork done, like I used to always do, just to do whatever I want. Like for me, the first 3/5 of college for me was really just an exercise in doing the bare minimum necessary to go do fun stuff. And it wasn't even like fun stuff like people go partying and stuff. I'm talking about like playing frisbee golf around the dorms and stuff. Like all I wanted to do was just not what I needed to do. I wanted to do the bare minimum to be able to do that. My job has kind of turned into that now to an extent. I'm really good at my job to where I can do more than just bare minimum. I can do a pretty decent job of it in a minimal amount of time. I'm working remotely. I'm like technically on the clock right now. I'm not an hourly job though, so I'm not really on the clock, but it's technically a long lunch. And I can use that time to do other things. And realizing that all that act of getting the work done to go do what I want, I'm not really getting the work done to do what I want. I'm not really escaping that. It's all a trap to come back in. Now, that was enough of a paradigm switch for me that I did a few things that I would like to consider pretty good accomplishments since then. For example, I guess kind of on brand here, I started reaching out to more local colleges, and was able to actually get a gig as a a trial session to be an art model. And I did that, and it was a 3-hour thing, and I kind of enjoyed it. It's a bit of a challenge, I'll say that. But now I'm officially on the roster for the upcoming school year, where I could potentially do that, you know, at least every once in a while, which is pretty cool. So I was an art model as a yellow jacket running around, flying around me. They've been aggressive lately. So I have a chance now to be an art model for art classes. I did a trial session with like 2 of the almost like TA types there. But I took a picture of their artwork, which is also pretty cool. But yeah, so I got that to look forward to. Perhaps more significantly, I am pretty close to getting myself a home equity line of credit, which I had enough home equity in my house that once I realized that I could use that to, in theory, like buy a business or buy a rental property or something to accomplish some more financial goals, that getting it available was just actually locking one in was a pretty good accomplishment, and started to remove excuses to not doing more stuff if I'm concerned about finances. I also think now is probably a good time to do that because home prices might come down soon, who knows? So getting equity while I can is a good idea. Because I guess in theory, if home prices went down, I would still have a pretty good line of credit while I could get a better deal on whatever it is. Like if I want to buy a rental property, get a bigger one for that. But anyway, while that's all going on, though, things didn't change significantly day to day. I found myself doing family things and just thinking to myself, man, I am so bored. Like we went to see actually the same, subjects from my dream, or my sister and her husband, sister-in-law and her husband, so my wife's sister. And we stayed there for Labor Day weekend, and I just remember thinking like, man, I'm bored. And a lot of that could be also I need to dopamine detox with stuff with my phone, but man, I was bored. And then I talked to my wife later, and she was like, I know, but it also wasn't that different than what things have been like for a while, and I've started to miss the old you. And when your wife says something like that, miss the me that would just enjoy things, lighter things, as opposed to being so gripped by like, what is my purpose? Yeah, so that kind of hit me a little bit. I've started to look more into self-hypnosis techniques too, to help get me focused. Like I'm actually may try the thing where there's this idea, I think it was from Chase Hughes, who's a former CIA guy, where you'll do things like get an AI created picture of yourself in the future when you're really old, and make it very visible so you have to walk past it every day, as a way of kind of developing a relationship with your future self. Help you do things with less of mind for what's enjoyable now and what's enjoyable in the future. So I may do something like that. I have an extra monitor I can use to make almost like a vision board, that sort of thing. So I got a lot of things I can do. But that's where I'm at. I think I've made a little bit of progress, but I'm still not out of the woods on this yet. And I'm wondering how much of I have just a tendency to self-sabotage here. Just for that whole, bicameral mind thing. I really think that's between my conscious and unconscious mind. And part of me really wants to, I don't know. It's like I'm not happy with either just going full, just enjoy everything as it is, versus going full, like I'm going to accomplish everything I can accomplish. I have to find a way to integrate all of that. Integrate the Alexander and the Diogenes. Just maybe something I'll reference in another video. But although I'm not planning to do these as frequently, I'll plan to do these once in a while still. I saw a few new subscribers since last video too. So welcome if you're looking through my archives. Hopefully this video will make some sense in the context of all those. And I've also, I guess the only other update is I got some precancerous skin things like frozen off here as a second time. I also got a skin tag frozen off, and it's actually on my groin muscle, and it isn't off yet. And man, that thing is like annoying. It's like I get hit with a jolt of lightning. Everything it pulled on. It's like all these nerve endings shut up there. I would never advise ripping off a healthy skin tag, by the way. It's probably really painful, and because it's bad enough when the thing is drying up. Man, hopefully it'll come off soon. All right, I think that's good for today.